So you run the largest U.S. pharmacy benefits manager. How would health care reform change your business should we see a new deal?
You know, any sort of new deal that we would see would have a direct impact not only on our Express Scripts business, but through us, our customers, our health plans who are in these exchanges today, employers who are providing benefits to employees today, are looking for clarity and a way forward. And the impact on us is that we're there for them. Much as when Med D was first put in place a decade ago, we were able to put in place the kind of things that brought the costs to the place that really made sense, created great patient access, created great patient satisfaction. And as the sort of Affordable Care Act replacement evolves, it's going to necessarily involve us, our tools, Express Scripts solutions to keep those costs manageable.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because this is obviously the central question throughout the healthcare industry today in terms of whether it's a repeal and replace or whether things stay the same. Your company negotiates drug prices on behalf of insurers and employers. Tell us how President Trump's promise to bring down cost of drugs could actually take place. I mean, you've got an op-ed out stated to run in Forbes magazine that ran on March 30th. You call it 5 Ways to Stop Rising Drug Prices Now. Walk us through it, sir.
Well, I was very excited to actually hear and know that the competition, President Trump staffed the FDA, and Dr. Gottlieb, I believe, stands for creating competition, creating access to biosimilars. So the first 2 things in the op-ed were about having the FDA really focus on creating competition, particularly for drugs that don't have any. And because then we can go to work at Express Scripts and create the competition that dramatically decreases prices and increases access. The second part of that is, obviously, inside that, biosimilars, specialty drugs. If you look in the exchanges today, and the biggest challenge that payers have had on the pharmacy side, it's been specialty biologic drugs. And right now, we don't have, on the pharmacy side, access to biosimilars that would, again, save our country over the next decade $250 billion if we got simply a dozen of those approved over the next period of time. So those 2 things were really important, and I think that having the FDA staffed is an important step there.
Yeah.
In addition, reforming Medicare Part D so that the members in Med D are incented to use those biosimilars. Very important, and I think from a legislative and regulatory standpoint, we can see a path would work there.
Right.
And then finally, going at copay coupons, which really distort. We've got a bucket of things that we're recommending. You can go to our website, lab.express-scripts.com, and see 15 ideas we have that sort of fall in the buckets of distortion, competition, and technology.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're making all really good points, and it sounds like, you're talking about something sort of from 30,000 feet up. Most people are saying, okay, fine, that's all fine and good, and he's got some ideas for the broader healthcare sector, but I'm worried about my life-saving drugs and the fact that I have to pay all of this money out of pocket for drugs that are important to save my life. I mean, the whole issue around EpiPen and Mylan CEO Heather Bresch previously said that so-called middlemen were one of the reasons that the price of EpiPen skyrocketed. You're a middleman, Tim. Listen to her testimony, which she gave last year on Capitol Hill.
Did you have a plan to raise the price every year for 6 years?
We have raised the price. We have raised the price, and I think managing to what we received, that 274 out of the 608, is what we were managed.
Generally, when a drug goes to generic, doesn't the price go down?
Which is why we dropped it to $300.
Only after you jacked it up to $600. It's like if I go buy this tie and they say it's $600, but we're going to sell it to me for $300, that doesn't make it worth $300.
So what's your response to that, Tim?
Yeah, my response is that Heather Bresch and Mylan set the price of their product at a place they thought they could, and their explanation is weak. I've heard further explanations that said, well, we need to invest $1 billion to create awareness. By the way, EpiPen is terrific. It has saved lives. And investing $1 billion to make it more available and make people more aware is a debatable proposition. But I know this today. They have the awareness. Take the $1 billion and lower the price. That's what we'd like to see.
Yeah, but you say basically that you're giving most of the rebate back to payers. What is that rebate doing, though, when a payer has a high deductible and a payer can't even afford because they can't get to their deductible?
So it really does depend on the payer and the plan. But typically, if a member is in a high deductible plan, again, it really is plan by plan that we administer, That plan is making that decision to take that rebate that we do pass through, which, by the way, you know, Heather sort of portrayed the payer as a middleman. I would argue the payer is the end payer, and that's a discount that the payer deserves, quite frankly, and that we pass through to them. They choose whether or not to lower the premium to that member or to build it into copays. We do have plans who build the rebate into copays, and we're working with a number of development partners to take that even further. But I can tell you up till now, the majority of payers, including Medicare Part D, have chosen to take the rebate and keep premiums low so they can insure as many people as possible and then build out-of-pocket maximums to protect folks from truly catastrophic costs.
Maybe,
Very
but you
difficult
still have,
if you're buying an EpiPen.
You still have those high deductibles. I mean, you know, the truth is some people say yours is an antiquated model. And are you looking to change your model in any way to address this? Because a patient is exposed to being a consumer until the deductible is reached versus having to pay a copay.
Sure. So what we at Express Scripts are doing is two things. One is we are working with plans who want to move the rebate to the point of sale for the members so that they can buy down, as it were, the members out of pocket. We're also working with them to reevaluate their plan designs to ensure they've got the appropriate maximums in place, because during the ACA, one of the unintended consequences was integrating deductibles for pharmacy and medical, creating a very large overall deductible that, unfortunately, for most people, that's where drugs will now fall into, and they suddenly hit these high prices. And so the other part that we're doing is for those members in those plans, building additional tools so they can navigate and figure out up front what's the cost, what's the best cost alternative, where's the cheapest place for me to get it. And so our digital investments have sped up dramatically to allow folks to know their balances, all those sorts of things real time.
Yeah. Well, Tim, I know that you've got solid trends. You are trying to come up with answers here, but the fact is the market's watching this situation, and whether or not you're going to change the way you operate. Your stock is down 30% in all of this because people are worried that, in fact, you're going to see the government clamp down on this. What changes are you going to make as a result of this to make customers and clients and patients feel like they don't go bankrupt just by paying for the drugs that they so dearly need?
So the things that we're doing to ensure that and again, you saw, as you referred, and I appreciate it, our drug trends dropped 27% last year. Our patients and clients, our patients did not have an increase in their copayments last year. So our model is working well. If you look at Medicare Part D, it is working extraordinarily well for the government. If you look at the Department of Defense, our largest client, we're saving them tens of millions of dollars by making a simple retail change. And so I believe our model is very, very well positioned. Our stock price, which was very not reflective of our earnings growth last year, was a result of a couple things. Headline risk, which over time I believe will dissipate, and we are very engaged in the process in Washington to be sure our tools and the things that we have done and can do are well understood.
Yeah.
And then we also have a situation that is a one-off situation that took our stock price down that we're working through, but that is not reflective of the fact that our model is solid and is what is needed today to help bring these costs into line and to help make the provision of the overall health care here affordable.